Hey everybody, how we doing again? Just thought I'd make a quick video. I just got done with my workout routine. Well, the first half of my workout routine, and I'm gonna give myself another hour of rest in between. But I thought I might do a video on a subject I've been thinking about for a while in regards to relationships again. Now, the title of this video I'm gonna discuss as being "Don't be too attached when it comes to relationships." Now, why do I say that? Well, I say that for several reasons, but to give you an example for me personally, is that I have never been the type of person that had a lot of friends. I never fit into really any groups. I have not honestly gone out with that many women in the past. I've gone out with several girls, but I realized that it honestly wasn't going anywhere with most of my friendships and the relationships I've had with women. And I come to realize this is that throughout life, you're not going to come across very many people who you can develop a strong long-term relationship with for various reasons. You know, you can come across and have a lot of friends in your life, but most of those friends are going to fall off in the future. Say, for example, the friends that you had in elementary school are not going to be the same friends that you're going to have in middle school versus same friends you have in high school and then college. You're going to go through a certain sets of friends throughout your life, and you're going to let them go for various reasons. They go through their own direction in life. Say, like in college, for example, for me, I've made friends with a bunch of people in college that I've hung out with for like a semester, a year or so, but then they end up dropping out of college, or they end up moving outside of where I live. They transfer out to another school, or I see them for who they are, whether they are liars, cheats, flakes, anything like that along those lines, then you just got to be able to go ahead and let them go. Now, as far as intimate relationships are concerned, I've come to view them pretty much the same way. You don't want to get too attached to who you have choose to have intimate relationship with, especially nowadays. This whole thing of, I think, having a lifelong partner who is your soulmate per se, that's it's going to be last a lifetime or whatever, that's really just for the most part a fairy tale for Disney movies or romance movies and all that. It's a fantasy for most of us, okay? Because let's just be honest, a lot of our relationships, as far as intimate, close and personal relationships, just do not last, okay? An example for us here in the United States is that 40 to 50% of all marriages end in divorce. And a lot of people who are still even married, as far as I see, aren't even in happy marriages. They might put on a face that, oh, we're one big happy family, we get along so good, the kids are happy and blah 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 blah. But then you get to see snippets of how dysfunctional the relationship is. There's abuse, there's money problems, there is neglect of the children, there's codependency in the relationship, and all this other stuff behind closed doors that these people don't want to put forward in showing what their relationship is really like. And the thing is, I come to fully understand this. Just because you're going out with someone does not mean that they are the one. More cases than one, it's only just your turn to be with them. The problem is, I come to full understand is that many people have conditioned themselves to have to be in a relationship and to have a large group of friends, just like a fish needs water to breathe. They just can't function without this so called large circle of friends that boost their ego, or they go ahead and they party with and drink with and hang out for the good times. And once they get out of a relationship, like an intimate relationship, they have to go into another one. Otherwise, they become sad and depressed and they just can't function. I've known several people who are like that. See, the problem is that these are people who are honestly deeply insecure and broken on the inside. And they're not happy with themselves. They don't love themselves. And just like in one of my previous videos, they have not taken the initiative to put effort into understanding that one of the main purposes in life is to learn to love yourself and become happy with who you are. The most important relationship is not with other people. The most important relationship is with yourself. You. If you can't even look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm happy with me. I love me. I know who I am, where I'm going. That's a problem. See, and that's the thing. That's why I think a lot of people get really attached in relationships and they hold on to it for dear life because that's what they base their self-worth on. That's what they base their total sense of happiness on. They don't have really anything else going on with their lives to look forward to other than their relationships. Now, I'm not saying that friendships are totally unnecessary and relationships are totally unnecessary. But from what I understand going through life, finding some really good, close friends that are with you during the good times and also the bad times, and finding someone who you have a deeper connection with on like a personal, intimate relationship is hard. It's like trying to find, honestly, a needle in a haystack. I don't even have a lot of friends. I can probably say that I have like two, maybe three people I actually consider to be my close friends. And there's a bunch of people that I know from like work that I talk to, or some people I kind of keep in touch with on Facebook or whatever. But honestly, other than those two or three people, I don't really hang out with anybody. I don't go to bars or clubs or any social gatherings because I see nothing more, for the most part, than just a bunch of insecure and unhappy people pulling a false representation of themselves just to try to fit in and impress everybody else. And to me, that is just so fake. I don't like fake bullshit. That's why I don't hang out with that many people. You know, that's why I don't get too attached in relationships. Because, like what Tupac said, you know, uh, for me, I consider myself to be a very real and raw person. I and I have a hard time getting along with people because of that. And it's like what Tupac said: the realest people don't have a lot of friends. Or just like one of my favorite YouTube motivational speakers, Nina Brown, said, "Real is rare, but fake is everywhere." Like, here's a great example of how your so-called group of friends are not going to be with you in the long run. Going back with Tupac. Now, Tupac, he's one of my favorite music artists of all time because a lot of his music was very raw and real, and he was not afraid to show his deepest problems and insecurities and fears and struggles in life for the world. And that's why his music has had such a strong impact, not only on hip hop artists that come after him, but for people around the world. He made one of his best albums, in my opinion. His best album, one of my favorite albums of all time, Me Against the World, when he was going through a really dark period in his life. During that time, beforehand, he was a rising hip hop star in which he was coming out with several well-known hits, such as Brenda's Got a Baby, and then Keep Your Head Up and I Get Around. And he was a star on the rise. And he had this so-called group of friends, a clique that he hung around with, and he would party and have fun. But then he got caught up with the wrong group of people. And then he got caught up in this scandal in which he had sex with this woman. Her name was Ayanna Jackson. And even though she consented to having sex with him in a hotel, I believe in New York or so, she accused him of rape and sexual abuse. And he was being charged with serious crimes in that regard. And then he was, this was really a threat to his career and his life. And then during this whole debacle, he gets shot in a New York recording studio, Quad Studios, I believe, 5 times. He almost dies in the process. And then after he's recovering from getting shot, he gets convicted of sexual abuse for forcibly touching the buttocks and is sentenced to 4 to 5 years in prison. And I remember I saw this interview of him when he was in prison, and he explained in the interview, pretty much all my friends abandoned me after I went through what I went through of my life. And he said this: trust nobody. Trust nobody. Fear is stronger than love. So he was going through a real dark period in his life that he explained in probably one of the greatest hip hop albums and greatest albums of all time, Me Against the World. But I think that he got his perspective wrong on relationships. It's not that you shouldn't trust nobody, but you need to watch who you trust. Because the people who you think are your friends are not always going to be out for your best interests. They're probably going to be friends with you because they want something from you, whether it's money or they want to use you to go to the next stage in life, or they just want anything else from you like that in those regards. Or honestly, they just don't have anything to bring to the table. There's a lot of people that are just blah. They're there, but they don't offer anything for you on how to enhance your life and make it better, because they're not going anywhere with their lives. They have no aspirations or goals with themselves. So if you're a person who's like that, oftentimes you're going to be alone. Okay? And that's just the way it is. I even heard from uh I even done research on some of the most productive and powerful businessmen and some of the most highly how can I put it? I guess some of the most powerful and innovative men in history, they didn't have a lot of friends because not everyone is on their same level of aims and goals in their life and what they want to do. So they learn not to get too attached to people, but they choose instead to chase their goals and their main purpose in life and doing something bigger and better with themselves and everybody else. And that's what I'm aiming for. I mean, I don't care about being like John D. Rockefeller or Bill Gates, but my thing is this: I realize that the most important relationship that I have is with me, myself, and I, and that I should learn to nurture it and be able to develop myself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and of course, physically. I mean, I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well so far. I mean, there was this whole situation with the coronavirus this year in which, I was out of work for a bit and I wasn't sure of myself and where I want to go, but things are turning around. You're going to go through things in life in which you question who your friends are and where you're going. But as long as you learn to trust yourself and to love yourself and keep on pushing and believing in yourself, that's all that matters. Most people are going to fall by the wayside. But I would say this: those who are there to help build you up when you're down with friends, and especially an intimate relationship, that's what really you should hold on to. Like for me, This is why I realized as far as intimate relationship with me, I'm not looking for a woman who's a princess to spoil. I'm looking for a queen that I can build an empire with. Now, when I mean my queen, I mean a woman that has a lot of substance and has a lot to bring to the table to help better my life. And I'll better hers. She's my cheerleader, and I also cheer her on too. But you're not going to come across very many women that are like that. It's very rare. It's like I've heard from a bunch of older men and what they said. Finding a good woman is like mining. You have to dig through a lot of dirt before you find the real jewels. But in order for you, I think, in order to find those really cool friends that you can count on, you got to stay true to yourself and just keep living your life and just keep pursuing reaching your full potential as far as happiness and personal fulfillment. And that's how you're able to find your real friends. And don't get too attached to everybody, okay? People come and go, but oftentimes you're going to be by yourself. But if you learn that your best relationship is yourself, then that's all that matters. Just a thought for tonight. Well, anyways, if you liked the video, have anything to say in the comments, of course, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be seeing y'all next time. Keep living it. Don't be trying to impress nobody except for yourself. And just understand you're going to be alone. But as long as you keep pushing and keep going somewhere, you're going to be better off than everybody else. Peace and good night.